Marcos was a man of unwavering ideas. He believed that persistence was the key to success, and perhaps that's why his life was marked by many attempts and few results. At 38 years old, he lived in a small apartment, overwhelmed by unpaid bills and a dream that seemed to slip further out of reach: becoming a successful entrepreneur. 3 years ago, he had invested his life savings into a business that, from the start, showed signs of failure. Yet, he persisted. He told himself that quitting would mean losing everything, but deep down, he knew something wasn't right. One hot morning, Marcos sat at his computer, staring at a blank screen once again. He had promised himself that today would be the day he finally launched his new project, but the ideas wouldn't come. The pressure felt suffocating. His phone rang, breaking his train of thought. It was his sister, Anna, a simple woman, yet filled with wisdom. "Marcos, do you have a moment?" she asked, her voice as calm as always. Marcos sighed. "Anna, I'm busy. I have a lot to deal with right now. I stopped by the market today and got some fresh fruit. Why don't you come down? I just wanted to talk. I promise I won't keep you long." Reluctantly, he went downstairs. Anna was waiting with a warm smile and a bag full of fruit. They sat on a bench in the small park near Marcos's building. "You look terrible, brother," she said, handing him an apple. "What's going on?" Marcos didn't answer immediately. He bit into the apple and stared at the ground. After a long pause, he murmured, "I've been pushing my project forward. It's what I want, but it feels like nothing is working. I've put everything into it, and yet, I'm not getting anywhere." Anna looked at him thoughtfully. "Marcos, I know how much you want to succeed, but have you ever stopped to ask yourself if what you're doing is persistence or just stubbornness?" He frowned. "What's the difference? I'm fighting for my dream. That's persistence." Anna smiled gently, with the patience of someone who had seen enough of life to understand its complexities. Persistence is when you pursue something that glorifies God, challenges you, has purpose, and blesses others. Stubbornness, though, is when you keep holding on to something that's already dead, dragging yourself down with it. So, which one is your fight? Marcos was silent. Her words hit him hard, like a wake-up call. He began to reflect on the past few weeks, the exhaustion, sleepless nights, and the fights with friends and family who tried to warn him. But admitting that he was clinging to a lost cause was a bitter pill to swallow. Anna continued, "You know, I read a verse yesterday that stuck with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. Sometimes we forget that God doesn't just give us what we want, but what we need. And if you don't feel peace in what you're doing, maybe it's because God is trying to show you another path." Marcos didn't respond. He just listened. For the first time in a long while, he allowed himself to consider that maybe, just maybe, he was on the wrong path. They said their goodbyes, and Marcos went back to his apartment with a strange feeling, a mix of relief and unease. For the first time, he felt the need to stop and reflect. That night, Marcos did something he hadn't done in years. He dusted off the Bible on his shelf and read aloud, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act." Psalm 37:5. Then, with no elaborate words, just from the depths of his heart, he prayed, "God, help me see clearly. If I'm on the wrong path, show me. If I'm supposed to keep going, give me the strength to do so." The next morning, while sipping his coffee, Marcos received an unexpected email. It was from an old coworker, Samuel, who now ran a social project for at-risk youth. "Marcos, I thought of you yesterday," the email read. "We're looking for someone to lead an entrepreneurship course. Would you be open to discussing it?" Marcos was intrigued. For years, he had immersed himself in the world of business, but the idea of teaching it had never crossed his mind. Yet something about the email sparked a sense of curiosity. He replied, agreeing to meet. During the meeting, Samuel explained the project. "These young people need guidance, Marcos. It's not just about teaching business. It's about showing them that they have options, that they can build something meaningful. And I believe you're the right person to inspire them." Marcos felt a wave of anxiety. He wasn't sure if he was ready, but for the first time in years, he felt like this made sense. Weeks later, Marcos started teaching the course. At first, he was unsure of himself. But as time passed, he realized that even his failures were valuable lessons for the students. Slowly, his own definition of success began to shift. He realized that true persistence wasn't about stubbornly chasing what he wanted. It was about walking in the purpose that God had laid out for him. One day, after a class, a student approached him. "Professor, thank you for everything. Before I came here, I didn't think I had a future, but you've shown me that I can build something for myself. That's changed my life." In that moment, Marcos understood. All the struggles, frustrations, and sleepless nights had prepared him for this purpose. He returned home, opened his Bible, and read once again. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." He smiled. At last, he understood what it meant to trust the process. Marcos' story teaches us that what often holds us back isn't a lack of opportunity, but our own unwillingness to let go of what no longer serves us. Holding on to something that's not aligned with God's plan only leads to frustration. True persistence, on the other hand, challenges us to grow, glorifies God, and blesses others. As Psalm 37:5 reminds us, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act." This kind of surrender requires courage. The courage to reevaluate, admit when we're wrong, and trust that God has a greater plan for us. He doesn't call us to stagnation, but to a life full of purpose and meaning. Persist in what glorifies God and walk in faith, even in the face of uncertainty. Today I invite you to reflect. What area of your life needs reevaluation? What are you holding on to with your own strength that you need to release into God's hands? Remember, letting go of what doesn't glorify God isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And starting over isn't a setback. It's a chance to align yourself with His purpose. If this message spoke to your heart, join us on this journey of faith and transformation. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, selecting all so you don't miss any messages that could change your life. Don't forget to leave a like on this video. It helps this message reach more people who might need direction in their lives. And share in the comments. What lesson resonated most with you today? What area of your life is God calling you to surrender? Let's build a community of faith, reflection, and growth together. May God bless you and your family. Remember, He is in control of it all.